Hello y'all and welcome back to more Crystalline. I'm your host, Steve Space Viking. Let's just get back to it. I'll click the right button this time.
How were you able to find this place?
With a wizardry.
Through you.
Eh?
Maybe it pulls out a white tome where he has been keeping... Or he should be keeping that his whole time.
My old research. I thought I'd lost this.
As Elder Isim carefully turns the pages of the tome, Leanna clears her throat.
We were told you can help us.
By whom?
Professor Xavier.
Elder Isim lets out a loud laugh.
Xavier is a professor now. Good for him. I've been out of touch with Havengard and Lumia for many years. I'm not sure how I can help.
Havengard sounds Norse. Leanna fills him on all that's happened so far, beginning with the spiked energy readings and the ending with Professor Xavier's advice. She keeps the story simple and straight to the point, carefully eliminating the fact that I am not from this world. Elder Isim listens carefully, but grows more excited the longer Leanna talks.
The temporal rifts. It's been so long since I really researched them. I'm afraid I've been rather distracted. Still, someone is here hoping to discuss these theories, and I'm more than happy to talk about them.
He claps his hands excitedly.
Where should we start?
Oh God. I was about to answer, a deep rumble beneath the earth stops me. What was that?
Oh, just the volcano. Nothing to worry about.
Oh, just a volcano, you know. Earthquakes cause volcanic eruptions. That's what they said about Pompeii. That's the last time someone said nothing to worry about in regards to a volcano. Their entire city was burned to ash. Leanna's eyes are wide and aghast. It's not all bad. It was basically all intact when the city was rediscovered thousands of years later. She doesn't look any less uneasy.
There's no need to look so concerned. The volcano will not erupt. This is the first sign of activity it has shown in thousands of years.
That's not a good... Yeah, that's pretty freaking concerning.
Perhaps if it were any other volcano, but this particular volcano is in the domain of the fire elemental who protects us all.
This fire elemental of which you speak, are you referencing the ancients?
Don't trust it.
Precisely.
Zach crosses his arms.
The ancients are only a story.
Now see, if you don't believe, who are the ancients?
They are the elements of Asaria. The magic which we have learned to manipulate are the gifts left behind from the ancients. That's how the legend goes. You are mistaken. They are not a legend.
Leanna looks uncertain while Zach scowls.
You still believe in those stories?
I believe in the research, and Elder Isim has accumulated plenty of it.
Then where have the elementals been all this time?
We all turn our focus to the Elder.
I suppose I do have a few theories on that as well. But the elements are a lot trickier than temporal rifts. The story of the ancients is so old it predates our understanding of crystals and spheres. That's why most societies have forgotten about them and brushed them off as a legend. The people in this village, though, have not forgotten. When I arrived, I was purely focused on finding the fire temple for research purposes. But the longer I stayed, the more my focus strayed from the temporal rifts to the ancients themselves. If you believe that the cause of those random energy spikes are the result of temporal rifts, perhaps that is the link to the return of the elementals to Asaria.
So what does that mean exactly? He shakes his head.
It's hard to say. We don't know why they left in the first place. My guess is that something was keeping them occupied in the spirit world. Perhaps whatever that is was set free by the rifts.
Amelia hangs into Elder Isim's every word. Leanna absent-mindedly fiddles with her manipulator. Deep in thought, only Zach seems skeptical of this conversation. This sounds really complicated and not something that can be solved in a few hours. We need to get back on track. How do I get home? To get back to the original topic on hand, Elder Isim
The
nods.
temporal rifts, yes.
How would one go about creating a rift?
Well, that will be difficult. You'll need an incredible amount of energy, more than any one human can create. The only places with that much concentration of energy is in the temples of the elementals.
You said that there was one in this village?
Yes, the fire temple is here in Ember Mist.
Great. My body grows warm as hope floods through my veins. This is good. I can finally have a way home.
To be more precise, it's on the outskirts of the village, built on the side of the volcano, but it's not a far walk.
Then that's where we need to go.
Leanna pushes herself to her feet, and the rest of us do the same as Elder Ismir rises, his face falls.
Leaving so soon? I was hoping we'd have a longer chance to chat. I have so many questions about Illumia and the Academy. As you can imagine, one does not get a lot of news of the outside world here.
Perhaps upon our return.
Yes, of course. Well, you best be on your way then.
Elder Ism, it was truly an honor to meet you.
Amelia's cheeks flush as the Elder Ism grins. She must really respect him. In that moment, I realized just how small and dainty she looks. Sometimes forget how young she is compared to the rest of us. We all say our goodbyes and then exit the hut. Once outside, we scan the horizon, trying to orient ourselves towards the volcano.
Excuse me.
How do I know this person's name? Oh, that's how. I'll roll around and come face to face with a woman wearing just enough fabric to cover her essentials and nothing more. That's hysterical. Her long brown hair is tied up in a ponytail which follows down her neck, and her frames a very ample chest. She reminds me of standard fucking video game ninja chick. Don't look at her boobs. The plot thickens. Who are you? Before I have a chance to speak, Zach asks questions on everyone's mind.
Who are you?
Zach steps in front of Amelia, who frowns and steps away. I guess he's taking the bodyguarding business really seriously. Lena holds herself stiffly, ready to move if necessary. The woman salutes.
Car Noir, treasure hunter extraordinaire.
Zach narrows his eyes.
What do you want with us?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't help but overhear that you're interested in the fire temple.
How did you hear us when we were inside?
It's a hut. There's no doors. Look at the ones in there. She taps her nose
I have
knowingly.
very sensitive hearing.
I fail to understand how our interests are of relevance to you.
I was just getting to that. You see, I've come to offer an extension of friendship.
Both Leanna and Zach raise an
Or
eyebrow.
at least an extension of mutual benefit.
Okay.
It's true that the villagers maintain the fire temple, but from what I've discovered, they are unaware of the temple's secret passage. If you're interested in the energy of the temple, I can guarantee that's where you'll find it.
If the villagers don't know about the secret passage, how did you find it?
Yeah, I gotta
It's all a
agree.
part of the treasure hunting gig. You have to be looking for it to find it.
Kara winks and gives us a thumbs
The
up.
best part is that I've already disarmed or made a note of most of the traps in there.
Or made a note of. That's good wording. I was like, if she just said disarm, then I'd be like, well, we don't need you, bye. There are traps in this temple?
The temples are a sanctuary for the elementals, but any place that is easily accessible is sure to attract all types. There are measures set in place to protect the spirit from those who wish to harm it.
Like I said, I've disarmed most of the traps, but not all. There is one magical barrier at the end of the tunnel which I've not yet been able to pass. I don't have magic, but you do.
She gestures to Leanne and
If
Amelia.
you can magic that barrier away, then that's at least one step closer to finding your energy.
Zach crosses his arms and glares at Kara.
How does that benefit you?
Like, yeah.
All I'm interested in are the artifacts and relics. From the sounds of it, you guys are more interested in something else, hence mutually beneficial. So, what do you think?
I'm gonna save. It feels like an option's gonna come up for once. Ah! I don't, not even a little bit. Does it really matter? There's plenty of reasons for her to join. Yeah, like, she's a treasure hunter. And like, I guess it doesn't really matter. Who cares? She joins, she's not interested in the elemental or the energy. If she doesn't go with us, she'll just go after we've broken the barrier.
You do have a point.
That is a very good point.
I must concede that I am impressed by her resourcefulness. It is plainly evident that she is not a native to Embermist, which means she somehow discerned the location on her own.
That's a really good point. Lena looks thoughtful.
As a treasure hunter, her tracking skills could come in handy in the future.
It's not like she's gonna be a permanent part of our crew. We all stare at Zach. He shrugs.
Do what you want.
That sounds like a yes to me. Zach doesn't respond. He just fixes the steely gaze on me. Okay.
So does this mean we're agreed to join up with Kara?
We all know. The Pongo sits in the middle of her circle and blinks happily. Where do you even go when you're hiding?
Let's go tell Kara.
Why did that exchange happen? Good God. We turn around and Kara stands right behind Leanna, her face only inches away. Leanna lets out a startled gasp. Jeez, what is she, some sort of ninja? I fucking told you. Kara rubs her hands excitedly.
Alright, this will be fun.
Wait, we didn't give you our answer yet.
Oh, sorry.
She steps back and gestures for Leanna to continue. Leanna speaks awkwardly. I guess she feels a little silly saying that Kara somehow already knows.
Well, we decided to take you up on your offer.
She eavesdropped.
Excellent. Since we're going to be working together, first things first. You all know my name, but I don't know yours.
I'm Leanna.
Mage Knight from the Guild.
She nods.
I am Amelia Estelle, a magecaster from the Mage Academy.
Kara
A
blinks.
student to become a mage caster? But you look just like a teenager.
Amelia cocks her head to the
It
side.
is natural that my physical appearance would represent my age.
She robot. She looks at Amelia with
That is
respect.
pretty impressive. Who's next?
She looks at Zach.
Zach.
She chuckles.
Very clearly a mercenary.
And I'm dude. A green eye study me, and although she's very clearly examining, I don't feel uncomfortable under her
Now
stare.
that that's out of the way,
Kara steps back a few pongos
you
at my
have a
feet.
bongo! How cute!
She reaches down and pats him on the head. He beams at her
And what's
touch.
your name?
She glances at the rest of us, but none of us make a move to answer.
Oh, is he not a part of your group?
He just kind of follows.
He is. Sort of.
And you haven't named him yet?
Why did we name him? Leanna and I shuffle uncomfortably. Zach remains unchanged while Amelia frowns.
A pongo is a wild creature.
Kara straightens and pats Amelia on the head, much to her dismay.
If you say so. Okay, are we ready to get going?
We murmur our assent, and and then Kara leads us out of the city. As we walk, another ominous rumble sends butterflies to my stomach. I can't shake off the feeling that we are literally walking into a fire. I glance at the others who seem unfazed. I guess it's just me. Pushing my insecurities down, I silently follow the group towards the temple. Just as Elder Issam noted, the temple is a short walk out of the village on a well-worn dirt path. The road is mostly empty, with only one or two travelers coming back towards the village. The temple is an open structure with a roaring fire in the middle of a grand hall. High columns with flame carved into them hold up the building. Adorning the stone walls are beautiful tiled mosaics. There is one wall with some strange symbols scratched on them. They're very faded, and I have to squint to make it out. From what I can make out, 4 symbols surrounded by a darkness in a square, with a line of fire enclosing the perimeter, trapping the darkness in the center. Huh. I wonder what this is. Amelia glances over and then peers at the carving.
Those symbols represent each of the magical elements.
Okay. She points at each one.
There is fire, water, earth, and wind,
Okay. She points to the center.
and that is shadow.
I've never considered shadow an
It
element
is one
before.
of the elemental magics.
Kara, Zach, and Leanna have already moved on, so the rest of us hustle to catch up. Besides us, the only other people in the temple are monks who care for it. They're dressed in woven red robes, same upon the loose styles of the villagers from Embermist. Quietly, they shuffle back and forth, sweeping the floor and relighting any of the smaller fires which have burned low. The Pongo looks around in wonder and reverence. At the sight of the giant flame, he squeaks and hops on me, claiming a spot on my shoulder. Kara bows briefly before the large flame leads to the back of the chamber and stops in front of the empty wall.
We're here.
Zach sighs. Kara might be a little out there, but I don't get the impression that she's stupid. There must be some more to the wall than first meets the eye. Is there a mechanism hidden somewhere that triggers a doorway? Kara's eyes
Bingo.
glitter. Yeah, I mean... With her gaze fixed on us, Kara pushes a brick and the segment of the wall pushes in and swings open. She waves at the opening with a flourish. Ta-da! How did you know which brick to push
It
in?
usually depends, but in this case, there's one brick that sticks out slightly more than the others. If you weren't looking for it, you won't see it.
She heads to the opening and pushes the wall closed behind us. Then she leads us down a winding stone stairway which ends at the beginning of a narrow passage. We file in behind her as she carefully picks her way down the hall. It's a very plain stone hallway with wall sconces lighting the way. I look down at my feet and notice a brick with an X marked on it. Avoid it. I have a feeling X's didn't make its way to the stone by itself. I better not touch it. Gingerly, I step around the brick a few feet. I spot another X. Is anyone else seeing these random X's? Kara glances back.
I should hope so. I left those there so as not to set off the same traps again.
Makes sense. We resume walking. Yeah, X marks the spot, but X does not, in like a cave, X does not mark touch it. The deeper we travel, the more X's I notice. Wow, there are a lot of traps in here. Zach pauses in front of a corridor where the walls are covered in X's.
Why are there so many X's on this wall?
Kara looks down the same passageway.
Oh, it's a two-part trap.
She points to a stone on the ground with same X marking.
Basically, if you step on the ground stone, it triggers thick bars to shoot out from all the X's in the wall and block the path.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Only if you know how to limbo. The bars have something keeping them hot and will burn you if you touch it.
Ah. Okay, it sounds a lot worse.
And you were able to cross that?
Kara winks.
I am very limber.
Words. Zach looks at Kara with interest. I mean, it looks between Zach and Kara.
Based on the dilation of Zach's pupils, it appears that Kara's flexibility is attractive to him.
You robot, you're ruining it. You were wingman to me, and now you're being anti-wingman to him. Zach is taken
I
aback.
was just thinking that it's a useful skill set to have.
You're goddamn right. God, she is glint in her eyes.
Useful skill set to have. In what context?
You know, treasure hunting. Plunging around in dark caverns. Zach
For
frowns.
scouting and navigating. Done
Exactly.
a thorough job mapping this place out and marking the traps.
He's got it. Lana looks amused.
Zach, was that a compliment?
He glares at Leanna.
No, an observation.
Kara smiles
Then
playfully.
thank you for the observation.
Zach falls into silence before turning away. I think most have heard him talk in a 30-second span. We continue through the tunnels. Eventually, she stops in front of another well of fire in the middle of the hall.
The barrier's here.
Alright. She gestures at the swirling metallic wall behind the well. The way that it glitters as it slips and curls almost looks like a fire. Leanna and Amelia step closer and inch their hands in front of them before gingerly touching the barrier.
It's surprisingly solid for something that looks so gaseous. Maybe there's some wind magic interwoven with whatever other magic is here.
And the Pongo hops forward with stars in his eyes. He dashes straight to the barrier.
Pongo, wait!
I stretch out my arm to race after him. Pongo, no! Instead of running into a wall, the Pongo passes through it and out of sight. How did he get through? How is he able to get through if none of us can? Kara gapes wide open at
I
the
have
barrier.
no idea.
No! Pongo!
Leanna looks equally shocked, but for a completely different reason.
We have to find a way to save him! Who knows what could have happened to him when he went through?
She presses up against the barrier and calls out again.
Pongo?
A blue head pops out of the barrier. What? What? He hops out of the rest of the way. Leanna scoops him up in a hug.
Pongo! You're back safe!
After a second, the Pongo wiggles out of her arms and rushes back over to me. Leanna pouts and then refocuses on the barrier. Amelia places both of her hands back on the barrier while Leanna holds out her manipulator.
Whatever is beyond this wall hosts a plethora of energy.
Leanna nods.
My manipulator confirms that. No wonder the Pongo ran in there.
Zach continues to hang back and observe, but Kara steps closer to the barrier.
But how did he even pass through?
Lena shrugs and Amelia continues studying the wall with her hands up
I
and
do
down.
not recognize this magic.
She frowns, deeply disturbed.
Is there anything you can do to break it?
Let's see.
I smell a choice coming along. Leanna and ooh, there's a lot of movement. Leanna and Amelia both put their hands on the barrier, the manipulators glowing. They each transmit pulses of magic with dispersed across the surface in a shimmering wave. I think they're trying to create stress fractures and to crack the wall. After a few tries, Leanna sighs in frustration and steps
Amelia,
back.
stand back.
She wordlessly obeys. Leanna gathers energy at a gauntlet and strikes the barrier with an empowered strike. Suddenly, the golden lettering forms on the barrier. Absolve your world to enter mine. What does that mean? No one answers. Amelia steps forward and focuses on the well of flickering flame.
If I am interpreting this message correctly, we must part with our most precious possession, our world, and throw it in the fire.
Leanna nods thoughtfully.
Kind of like we're freeing ourselves.
Kara's face drains of color and she clutches her pack.
Are you sure?
Yes,
We stand around awkwardly until Leanna clears her throat.
If that's what we need to do, then it seems easy enough. I'll go first.
Yeah, no. I'll do it. We're doing this for me. I just be the one to go first. Leanna blinks, but I step up to the fire before she can object. What do I choose? Wallet playing. Just freaking. Just whip the bongo in the fire. That's a riot. Oh, I am coming back to check that. Ooh. What the hell is this? My waifu. Why? What is... Who? Wallet? I fish in my pockets and grab my wallet. My entire identity is in here. My license, student ID, and credit cards. The thought of parting with it makes my chest hurt. Reluctantly, I toss it into the fire and watch the flames lap it up. Then I steal my resolve and slowly step forward. As I cross through, I feel a tingle of energy and hear the crackle of electricity. There's a bright light blinding my vision, and I have a flashback of my crossing to Terra. My foot lands in solid ground, and I pass through the barrier unharmed. My eyes adjust to the dim light, and I see that I'm in a cozy room. In the middle of the room is, there is a fox swishes its tails as it observes me. Besides a beautiful woman with a flaming red hair, her delicate hand rests atop the fox's head. As I look over, her gaze lands on me. Who are you? The woman blinks at me and then smiles. For a second, I think I see the flames lighting the room flicker, and warmth permeates my body. It's pleasant, like an embrace. Although she holds my gaze, she doesn't speak. How did you get in here? Again, she remains silent, but this time she takes a step closer.
Who are you talking to?
Huh? I peek behind the woman and see Zack standing with an eyebrow raised and his arms crossed. The rest of my companions pause in their inspection of the room and stare at me. Karis stands beside an altar while Amelia and Leanna are both kneeling by the fox. The fox accepts their attention and rhythmically switches its tail, but otherwise makes no move to respond. Instead, it fixes its attention on me.
Are you talking to the fox?
No. The super hot chick. Oh, that's 100% the choice. Clearly, I was speaking to the smoking hot woman in the room.
You mean her?
You mean her?
The two of them speak simultaneously, then stare at each other.
That was unexpected, but not unwelcome.
Lena blushes and deeply while Kara smirks, and I catch both of them occasionally glancing at each other. What?
Who exactly are you seeing?
There's a woman dressed in red, and she's kind of flamey, and she's standing right where right there with her pet firefox, with her pet web browser. Leanna looks towards the fox, but her eyes glaze right over the woman. She furrows her brows in concern.
Okay.
Her voice is gentle, like she doesn't want to spook me. I know you guys can see her. The group collectively shakes their heads. I don't know why you guys can't see her, but I promise you she's there. The Pongo hops out from behind my legs. He first examines the woman, partial interest, and then he stares in wonder at the fox. The fox cocks his head to the side and observes the Pongo. The Pongo perks up and cautiously bounces forward. He pauses right before the fox. The fox nose wiggles as it sniffs at the Pongo, then swishes its tail, and the Pongo squeaks before running back behind my legs. Wait, do you see her too? The woman giggles at the Pongo and gently pats his head. He shivers happily at her touch, and then she straightens up and takes a step closer. Her feet don't touch the ground, and her skirt floats ethereally behind her. Instinctively, I back away.
What's going on?
She's getting closer. A lot closer. She pauses and she draws near and touches her palm to my forehead. A pulse of warmth flows through me before she retracts her hand. As if something inside me clicked open, I feel invigorated with restored strength. The stronger I feel, the more translucent the woman becomes. Soon she disappears. The Pongo stares at me with renewed interest. It reminded me of that same look he gave me when we first met. He licks his lips. Don't even think about it. The Pongo pouts and lets out a sad sigh. Kara waves her hands in front of my face.
Hey, are you okay? You kind of zoned out there for a second.
I think I'm fine.
What happened?
I'm not sure.
Where's the woman now?
Actually, she's gone. Amelia reacts to my words by playing with her bracelets. She holds her manipulator up to me.
Curious. I may have a theory.
What is it?
All the energy which had accumulated here has now gathered within you.
And blink as it takes me a minute to register what she just said. Wait, I absorbed the energy? That can't be right.
As I mentioned, it is merely a theory.
Leanna looks intrigued.
How is that possible?
I don't know. I felt it after she touched me. Leanna's eyes widen.
I wouldn't phrase it like that.
Not in a weird way. She touched my forehead and I suddenly felt a rush of energy. Amelia stares hard at me. Why are you looking at me like that?
I am merely anticipating the imminent reaction.
Reaction to what?
The high concentration of energy you just absorbed. The human body was not meant to process such large quantities of energy. At least, that has certainly been the trend with someone from Terra.
Oh god, no, not allowed. Amelia's gaze bores into me as she emphasizes the word terror, and then she looks back down at her manipulator.
2 minutes have passed, and there seems to be no sign of an adverse reaction.
Why does she sound so disappointed? Suddenly Kara squeals as she gingerly picks up a rusty coin out of the remains of the leather
This
satchel.
is a genuine Vestin coin!
Zach glances at the coin, folds his arms, clearly
How much could a
unimpressed.
rusted out dated coin be worth?
About a few hundred gold pieces.
Zach's demeanor instantly
You don't
changes.
say.
And Kara smoothly pockets the satchel as Zach covertly searches the room. As Kara finishes up her inspection of the room, Leanna looks around.
Well, since we found what we came for, we should head back.
Kara nods and leads the way. As we leave the room, we notice the fire which had previously glowed in front of the barrier was gone now, but all of our items are still intact. Hey, nothing was burned.
Curious. Then it can be assumed that the purpose of this trial was not to destroy our possessions, but to test our willingness to sacrifice.
What a weird trial. Kara happily scoops up her coin purse.
I'm not complaining.
Leanna smiles in relief as she reaches and quickly
Let's
collects.
keep going.
Up. Ring attached to a thin chain. Okay. The rest of us snatch up our items and continue back out of the corridor. The trek at the temple is a lot faster and easier than the trek in, and mostly because there was no more obstacles to stop us. We pop out of the same hidden wall in which we entered just as before. The main ceremonial hall is empty. We wave goodbye to the couple of monks sweeping the entryway, then begin the walk back to the village. I mean, is there any? I mean, yeah. I approach Amelia. So, that theory you mentioned about the temple, about the woman, what was it? Amelia glances at
Given
me.
the location and circumstances previously described by Elder Issam, my estimation is that the unknown woman you encountered was a projected image of the fire elemental. Of course, as I could not observe her myself, I cannot be certain.
Do you think that's why she wouldn't talk back? Also, why she just showed up? Wouldn't she just show up
The
in person?
amount of energy needed to sustain just an appearance of the elemental would have drained the temple completely. There would have been no energy left for her to give to you.
Is that why she disappeared right after?
The depletion of energy in the temple would have meant she'd no longer be sustained in this world.
Amelia looks thoughtful.
Although, it is quite unusual that she would have you absorb the energy to begin with.
I see. I had a feeling that was her. I had a sneaking suspicion that was her. I mean, who else could it have been? Amelia nods.
It pleases me that you two have reached the same conclusion.
Thanks. She looks thoughtful.
Still, it is quite perplexing that she would only reveal herself to you.
It's not just me. The Pongo saw her too, I think. He didn't really make it clear if he was seeing her, just the fox thing.
The Guardian.
Huh?
The fox would be the guardian of the fire temple. Each temple has its own guardian who protects it.
Oh, so how come the Guardian didn't attack us for breaking into the temple?
We did not break in. The guardian enforces the trial in the temple. Only those who are able to complete the trials are welcome into the temple.
In that case, that magical fire we had to put our stuff in? Amelia nods, still deep in thought. Are you still trying to figure out why no one else could see the elemental? She nods again. Any theories?
As of now, I do not have one. But perhaps after some further research.
Her voice trails off as she falls back into deep thought. I don't give a crap who the Vestins are. Money grubbing coin stealer, I don't want to talk to you. We stay silent as we each of us preoccupied with our own thoughts. Kara, Zach, and Amelia lead the way back to Immermist while I lag behind. Bongo sits on my head. Leanna notices my absence and falls into step with me. She pats the Pongo, who ignores her, still too focused on the energy around me. Leanna pouts, then shakes away the Pongo's disregardance of her and focuses her attention on me.
Something on your mind?
I drop my voice a little so the others can't hear me. Now that I've collected the energy from the temple, that means I can try to create a temporal rift and go back home, right? Car stops and whirls around to face us. I can immediately stop with her. Oh! Here's the save point if I've ever seen one.
Pardon me, you were speaking very softly and it was a little hard to hear, but it sounded like you just said you need to open a temporal rift to go back home?
You witch! How?
But that can't be right, can it?
She's some supersonic hearing. I glance at Leanna, who looks alarmed. About that. Kara's smile falters at my hesitance, but Amelia looks excited. Alright, we'll get back into this next time. Catch you on the flip side.